walking into round one of the NWSL draft. And maybe that's where we start in terms of our reactions for draft night tonight.
I think we have to start there. I mean, it even started before then, earlier this week when we saw Angel City making that trade for that number 1 pick. And it was rumored, it was talked about a lot that they were going to go after the 18-year-old Alyssa Thompson, who's got 2 caps with the senior national team, a forward in Thompson that's been playing in high school. She's in high school, hasn't even made it to college yet. But it came down to it. We're here at the draft. Angel City ends up getting that first round pick. They held on to it. That trade was not going anywhere from Angel City. And all the rumors were correct. Angel City goes after Alyssa Thompson, 18-year-old forward, hoping to make such a big difference in LA and at Angel City. A huge party on a school night for Thompson as she gets drafted.
I loved this. We're talking about scenes a lot, trying to help set the picture here for those of you who are joining us live and virtually. But it was cool to sort of see some of the celebrations coming out for some of these selections, whether they were actually here in person at the convention center or some of the video that we see for these players who are having their own small draft parties at home. And I don't know if I would consider Alyssa Thompson's draft party small. It was back out home in California, and there was again a lot of exciting components to it. We saw President Julia Herman there presenting the jersey to Alyssa Thompson as well, and Thompson, obviously getting the chance to speak her first words as an all-time as a first-time pro. Talking about how excited it is for her to get to play at home in California in front of her home state.
It's very special, and the fact that she was there, right, in Los Angeles at home for this draft and not able to be here, the fact that Angel City could go to her, right, and have the president present her with that jersey, that's very special. But that all happened before we entered today. There was also a lot of changes that happened during the draft. And that's what we see happen, because heading into this one, we knew that we were going to have one draft order. And by the time 6 o'clock, 6:05, 6:10, 6:15, a completely different draft order. And that's exactly what we saw unfold today.
It was almost like, we're talking about hope, but it was almost like when Alyssa Thompson went number 1 for Angel City. It was almost like a little bit of false hope. We were just like, okay, here's the draft. It's arrived. It's going to go as expected. Alyssa Thompson, number 1 to Angel City, as previously reported. We had discussed it on episodes prior. If we thought that was, a good move for Angel City to essentially make these tiered trades with Gotham, with Portland, in order to make that leap into the first slot to take this player. And we're like, great, this is going exactly as we had already chatted about. And then here comes pick number 2. And we get a massive trade that's announced for Gotham FC, who was a part of those tiered trades alongside Angel City, making trades of their own to, get into the 2nd pick overall, because they were initially the team with the number 1 overall pick. That ended up going to Angel City after all of those moves and all of that money. Gotham sitting in at number 2 had received Yasmin Ryan as a part of this trade, traded with Orlando Pride to get it to number 2. And then they go ahead and make another trade on draft day with Kansas City Current. Exciting stuff here, I think, if you're Gotham and if you're the Current.
This was a massive trade. And for those that are Gotham fans thinking, oh, no, we had the number 2 pick, what was going to happen? They still had the number 4 pick at this point. So Gotham,
because of another trade.
Yes, like so many trades happening on the spot. But I think this Kansas City trade with Gotham was massive to see, because Kansas City ends up sending Lynn Williams, forward, U.S. national team. She was out all last year with a terrible hamstring injury. I think she played maybe a handful of games during the Challenge Cup. But Lynn Williams, U.S. national team forward, is going to Gotham FC in exchange for that number 2 draft pick. And Kansas City then finds themselves runner-up in the NWSL championship just last year. They're supposed to be at the bottom of this draft pick, number 2, and they go after Michelle Cooper out of Duke, the sophomore forward that decided after this year's College Cup, when Duke made it to the Final Four in the College Cup, that she was going to end her playing career collegiately and enlist in the draft for the NWSL and make a name for herself. She goes number 2 overall. Not to Gotham, though, to Kansas City.
I'm gonna vouch for us here. I'm gonna speak up for us here at A3 because we did our mock draft ahead of a couple of things. We did our mock draft ahead of this draft day, and B ahead of the player registration deadline. So we were taking a little bit of a gamble there, as most folks do when they make their mock drafts. And we chatted a little bit about this, how when the deadline passed for Monday for players to have their names submitted, you and I hit that refresh button on January 10th, and we saw Jenna Neischwanger enter the picture for this player registration draft. And we thought, hit the music, cue it up. By God, that's Jenna Neischwanger's music. She's going to completely wreck everybody's mock draft. And then there were multiple trades that happened today on draft day, and that also, changed some things up in terms of the order. But to this point, in our mock draft, we're pretty solid at 1 and 2. We were like, hey, we got.
I came over to you and I was like, hey, we're 2 for 2 right now. Not with the teams by any means, but with the players.
Yeah, with players at those selections, 1 and 2. So Alyssa Thompson, Michelle Cooper going number 2, and Orlando Pride. We were very curious, I think, in terms of how they were going to, utilize this pick, because they had initially entered this draft with the number 2 and number 3 pick. And then on draft day, only had that number 3 or had that early number 3 pick in this first round. And at this point, there's still a ton of talent out there on that draft board. And it was like, who are they going to go with? Are they going to go with a Jenna Neischwanger? Are they going to go defensively? Who was going to be in this pick? So for number 3, Orlando Pride, with their selection, they ended up going with Emily Madrill.
I love this pick for Orlando. Defender Emily Madrill, she was formerly with Florida State University, decided to forego her eligibility. She signed a contract with the NWSL as a professional. They put her on loan to Sweden. So she's been playing professionally in Sweden for the last year, and then her name was entered into the draft. And when you look at what Seb Hines has on his roster currently at Orlando, they need to shore up that back line. I mean, Orlando had a really tough go around last year in the league. I mean, just holes all over the place. And to get a player in Emily Madrill that not only is a top talent from FSU and understanding what she could do under that program at Florida State, but then to have the experience that she has playing professionally. Madrill is a player that can walk onto the pitch right now for Orlando and get minutes, slot into that back line seamlessly, right? Because she already understands the professionalism, what it's like to play at this level. I mean, this is a massive pick for Orlando, and just the first of 3 Florida State University players to be drafted in that first round. I mean, they win right now for most number of players drafted out of their university.
Yeah, not sure if there's a clear winner of the first round draft at this moment, but it could be none of the clubs but Florida State University.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, but I was curious with 1, 2, and 3 going, attacker, then defender. What was number 4 going to look like? And we have to chat a little bit about more trade fodder. Gotham FC nearly trading themselves out of the first round, but not exactly. They ended up making a trade with Racing Louisville FC, and Racing Louisville had an opportunity at number 4 to perhaps select a player to help continue to build out and flesh out their roster, but opted to listen to offers with Gotham and swapped position there. So we had Gotham FC now in the number 4 position to go ahead and make that selection. And I was eager to see who was going to, be selected in this category. And it was Jenna Neischwanger.
Yes. I mean, this was a player that you just mentioned, Sandra, wasn't initially on this registered draftees list, prospective players to be drafted. We were waiting for her to add her name to it. She's out of Florida State, a forward, a midfielder. She played 5 years at FSU, and just her experience taking that team to College Cup after College Cup, what she was able to do in that conference. I mean, this is a player for Gotham that they can slot into that attacking midfield role. I really think that's where she'll play, especially when you look at the upcoming year that that the United States women's national team has with the World Cup. We know that Christy Mewis is most likely going to be on that roster. Nightswanger is a player that can slot into that attacking 10 role, try to contribute up top. I mean, you look at Ifeoma Mano that they have in the front line, Margaret Purse. They've got speed. They need someone now with a little bit of technicality that can feed those balls through, right? So many times we were watching Gotham matches last year in 2022 saying they've got so much individual talent, but how do we connect the lines? Why are they not being able to build up from the defensive line through the midfield line to their forwards? And Jenna Nightswanger is the perfect player out of Florida State to give that to this Gotham team and have them build out a more fluid attack for them.
Listen, I just think it's really, really impressive that Gotham made as many moves as they did within this draft.
They were busy.
They were incredibly busy and somehow still make all of these moves and acquired not just the player that they were targeting in the draft, but players, plural. So they're walking away with veteran pieces, right? A U.S. women's national team player, and Lynn Williams, and Jenna Nightwanger, someone who was, considered like a top, not even 5, maybe top 3 pick going into this draft. So I think Gotham looking pretty exiting this draft day. Number 5, Portland Thorns FC. They were involved in that big blockbuster trade, multi-team trade ahead of draft day, alongside Gotham, alongside Portland Thorns and Orlando Pride. Found themselves bumped up into this first round draft in the 5th slot, and they went with Reina Reyes out of Alabama. I was hyped for this pick. You'll love to see it.
Second defender drafted in the top 5. We love to see that here at Attacking Third. First, we have Emily Madrill, number 3, going to Orlando, and then Reina Reyes, defender out of Alabama. But she also plays higher up the pitch. This is a really, really versatile player. Mac Herman Trophy semifinalist, SEC Defender of the Year. She's notched goals for this Alabama team. A College Cup, right? You look at the NCAA tournament and the experience that a player like Reyes has. 23 wins, a career high 8 goals this year for Reyes throughout her college days because she was so much higher up the pitch. But the versatility of Reyes is really crucial. And I think that's what Portland is keying in on. The fact that they can utilize this player wherever they need her to be. And she's got the experience to do that. And to step up in those moments when she is in the box, it's a set piece and she can get on the end of it. I mean, the fact that Portland was able to wiggle their way into a top 5 pick and they end up doing that and then going with a national champion in Reina Reyes is fantastic. I mean, we talked about this during our mock draft. In getting a player like Reyes, specifically at Portland, think of the player she's going to be playing alongside. Becky Sauerbrunn, Kelly Hubley, Megan Klingenberg, Sophia Smith, she'll be going up against in practice every day. The experience for Reyes is going to be incredible for her this year.
Yeah, she's coming off of that national championship appearance, and I know that's what you meant, because we're just trying to consume. We're trying to consume so much
national champion appearance.
Yeah, we're trying to consume so much soccer right here. At one point, I know our brains are going like a mile a minute, but I was very enthusiastic about this pick because I love to see players make their way into this league. It's a beautiful thing to witness someone essentially checking a box off of like their list of goals, right? Achieving their dreams. And there's a really cool video out there of Reina Reyes in her draft party with her family. And I love that so much. I felt like I was watching like my family have a special moment. Shout out to my familia. Like I love watching this Mexican international go to an incredible club. Very successful, very winning club, and they're going to probably demand excellence immediately. So to sort of, roll the dice and make the gamble on a player, I think says a lot about Reyes and her ability and her ceiling, and the fact that this club wants to try to continue to develop that, and have her contribute in Portland. I'm eager to see if they still actually see her across that defensive line, because she's someone with the ability to play higher into the midfield, but depending on how they have plans to utilize her, she could be a bit of a wild card factor, I think, for Portland.